I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. Minority Leader Mitch McConnell responded to Democratic anger at a leaked Supreme Court opinion on Roe v. Wade on the Senate floor Tuesday morning. The draft opinion reveals that the highest court in the land might strike down federal abortion rights. McConnell, a longtime pro-life Republican, defended ending Roe v. Wade. He also attacked the, quote, far left for what he calls an ongoing intimidation campaign against an independent judiciary, citing the chasing of senators in the Capitol during the Kavanaugh hearings. Let's listen in to the Kentucky Republican.
For years, the radical left has attacked the institution of the Supreme Court. Last night, it appears their campaign hit a new low. Historically, the justices, clerks, and staff have prized and protected the court's confidentiality. The justices must be able to discuss and deliberate in an environment of total trust and privacy. Americans cannot receive a fair trial if politicians, pundits, bullies, and mobs get a say in court. Judicial independence is vital, but the far left has spent years shamelessly attacking it. Democrats in Congress have endorsed plans for partisan court packing. They've sent the justices threatening legal briefs. They've scheduled sham hearings to smear judges. In 2020, the Senate Democratic leader marched across the street to the court and shouted threats at multiple justices by name if they didn't rule how he wanted. In 2018, activists literally chased senators around the Capitol. And now, last night, a shocking new breach. Somebody, likely somebody inside the court itself, leaked a confidential internal draft to the press, almost certainly in an effort to stir up an inappropriate pressure campaign to sway an outcome. The radical left immediately rallied around the toxic stunt. The cheerleaders for partisan court packing applauded what they suggested was the work of, quote, a brave clerk, making a last-ditch Hail Mary attempt to cause a political firestorm and cause the court to reconsider. Liberals want to rip the blindfold off Lady Justice. They want to override impartiality with intimidation. They want to elevate mob rule over the rule of law. The same political movement that used a leak to move up the timeline of Justice Breyer's retirement process is trying to use yet another leak to make the court less secure and less impartial. Never before in modern history has an internal draft been leaked to the public while the justices were still deciding a case. Never before. Whoever committed this lawless act knew exactly what it could bring about. The justices already require security. Less than 2 weeks ago, an unbalanced person lit himself on fire on the court steps. Less than 3 years ago, a liberal mob tried to storm the court, shoving past law enforcement and pounding on the doors. Look, everybody knows what kind of climate the far left is trying to fuel. One that is antithetical to the rule of law. Right on cue, top Democrats began publishing wild statements about what the court might decide, packed with using unhinged rhetoric that could easily light a match. So what else happened? Activists flocked to the court. An angry crowd surrounded the court, chanting justices' names. There are renewed calls to smash the institutions of both the Senate and the court at the same time. One of the court's most essential and sacred features was smashed just to buy the outrage industrial complex a few extra days to scream nonsense about what the court might rule. This lawless action should be investigated and punished to the fullest extent possible. The fullest extent possible. I'm certain the Chief Justice will seek to get to the bottom of this. If a crime was committed, the Department of Justice must pursue it completely. So listen, I want all 9 justices to know there are still principled senators who have their backs no matter what. There are still some people in this Capitol and a majority in the Senate whose support for the rule of law is not conditional. Not conditional. The court should tune out the bad faith noise and feel completely free to do their jobs. They should follow the facts and the law wherever that leads. As I've warned in the past, courts bowing to activist pressure would never enhance judicial legitimacy. It could only erode it. And the hostage takers would never settle for half a loaf. Now, Mr. President, on another matter, an unfortunate routine keeps playing itself out with the Biden administration. First, they implement bad policies that create problems. Then they propose solutions that are really just more bad ideas. Case in point is inflation. Democrats spent last spring unleashing a deluge of reckless spending on our recovering economy. They spent the rest of the year trying to pull off yet another taxing and spending spree. And now they want to pass a massive tax hike while families are already hurting. Unfortunately for the American people, the same thing is playing itself out in the world of energy policy. Since day one, the Biden administration has done its best to wage holy war on American domestic energy production. The predictable result, thanks to these policies and the broader inflation that Democrats have fueled, is that American families are hurting badly. Across the board, energy costs have risen nearly 32% in a year. But now comes the third part of the unfortunate routine. A slew of bad far-left policy choices and proposals that would make the pain for the American people actually even worse. Some Democrats are pushing for a massive new tax on companies involved in developing and exporting American energy. The last time this wrong-headed idea was given legs, President Carter ended up reducing domestic production, increasing our foreign dependence, and raising Americans' prices at the pump. And over the last few weeks, the Biden administration took 2 more steps in the wrong direction. After ignoring federal law by failing to award a single oil or gas development lease for 5 straight quarters, the administration has shrunk its land offering by 80%, while jacking up its royalty rate by 50%. That's right. Democrats' response to supply shortages and sky-high prices at the pump is to make American energy even less available and even more expensive. Meanwhile, it's begun to tear up the regulatory reforms put in place under the last administration to streamline infrastructure project permitting. Biden and his team struck the match on a historic surge in energy prices and are now making it even more expensive for American producers to boost supply. They endorsed a bipartisan infrastructure bill and are now making it harder for American builders to get the work. And of course, Democrats are still itching to resurrect their Green New Deal. In the midst of historic inflation, they want to jack costs up even further for consumers while making America wildly dependent on China and other regimes with abysmal environmental and labor standards. The same Democrats who don't want us responsibly exploring for oil and natural gas also don't want us responsibly exploring for critical minerals either, and want to tie up American manufacturing in red tape. So the administration's war on American energy has left destruction in its wake. The only idea they have left to try is the one that would have worked from the beginning. Unleash the abundant, affordable, and reliable supply we've got right here at home.